In this podcast, Kermit Roosevelt III and Ryan Holiday discuss the concept of tradition and the influence of family lineage on personal and professional development. They explore the idea of choosing one's own ancestors and the impact of role models on shaping one's character and values. Roosevelt shares that growing up in the Roosevelt tradition was fairly normal for him. While his family did not explicitly talk about their lineage, they had a collection of books about Theodore Roosevelt, which he read extensively. He also mentions that his classmates elected him as the president of the class in fourth grade due to his family name, which he took as a compliment. Roosevelt and Holiday also discuss the Roman tradition of adopting prominent individuals to carry on the family tradition, emphasizing the idea of choosing one's own ancestors and the importance of identifying with and emulating individuals, even if they are not biologically connected. They highlight the influence of individuals who have never been met but have been deeply studied and admired. They also touch upon the idea of modeling oneself after someone and the impact of this emulation on personal growth and development. The conversation delves into the Roosevelt family's values and traditions, including the emphasis on physical activity, nature walks, and the cultivation of resilience and toughness in children. They discuss the influence of family dynamics, such as the loud and adventurous nature of the Roosevelt household and how these experiences shaped Roosevelt's upbringing. Roosevelt shares his experiences with parkour and how it has taught him to overcome fear and push his physical limits. He emphasizes the importance of struggling and achieving, as well as the value of learning from failure. The discussion also touches on the parallels between physical challenges and creative endeavors, highlighting the mental aspect of overcoming fear and self-doubt. The conversation shifts to the topic of political and institutional change, with a focus on the brokenness of the American political system. Roosevelt and Holiday discuss the need for reforms, such as increasing the number of representatives, adding new states, implementing ranked choice voting, and adopting a national popular vote system. They also explore the idea of political equality and the need for a more dynamic and responsive political system. They also discuss the rise of originalism and its impact on the perception of the founding moment as a fixed and unchanging period. They highlight the fluidity of historical understanding and the need to recognize that the founding ideals were meant to evolve and adapt to changing circumstances. They also address the limitations imposed by originalism and its implications for the stagnation of institutional and political change. Roosevelt emphasizes the importance of conflict and radical reinvention in American history, citing examples such as the Revolution, the failure of the Articles of Confederation, the Civil War, and Reconstruction. He highlights the moments of radical reinvention as pivotal moments of progress in American history. He also discusses the role of young people in driving change and progress in American history. He points out that many pivotal moments in history were driven by young people who were willing to challenge the status quo and demand change. He cites examples such as the Founding Fathers, the Civil Rights Movement, and the activism of young people today. Holiday and Roosevelt also discuss the concept of lifetime appointments for federal judges and the Supreme Court. They highlight the problems with the current system, including the potential for lifetime appointments to lead to a lack of change and dynamism in the judicial system. They also discuss potential solutions, such as implementing term limits for Supreme Court justices. The conversation delves into the historical context of American ideals and the challenges faced in upholding them. Roosevelt emphasizes the importance of understanding the historical context of American ideals, including the impact of the Three-Fifths Compromise and the struggle for equality and justice throughout American history. He also discusses the challenges and conflicts faced during Reconstruction and the Civil Rights Movement. He highlights the role of the federal government in enforcing civil rights and the pushback from certain groups in the South. He emphasizes the importance of understanding the historical context of these conflicts and the ongoing struggle for equality and justice in America. The conversation also touches on the concept of power and the influence of passionate minorities in shaping American history. Roosevelt discusses the role of passionate minorities in influencing political decisions and the impact of their actions on the course of American history. The host and guest also explore the concept of dark energy in American history, referring to the persistent influence of certain ideologies and interests that continue to shape the nation's progress. They discuss the psychological basis of in-group and out-group dynamics and the role of fear in shaping political narratives. Roosevelt delves into the psychological explanation for anti-Semitism, stating that people have an overactive agency detector, leading them to see patterns where they aren't actually present. He also discusses the role of demagogues in history, noting that populist speakers often rely on divisive tactics to gain power. The conversation then shifts to the concept of honor and duty, with Roosevelt emphasizing the importance of individuals adhering to a code of conduct in their professions. He acknowledges the collapse of this sense of professional pride and creed in modern society, attributing it to the erosion of trust in institutions and the system. The conversation then delves into the impact of historical narratives on societal perceptions. Roosevelt highlights the influence of Northern elite institutions in perpetuating the lost cause mythology, which downplays the severity of racial oppression in American history. He discusses the cycles of reconciliation and backlash in American history, citing the civil rights movement as a period of disruption to the established narrative. Roosevelt also touches on the role of wars in unifying the nation, referencing the proposal to invade Mexico as a potential peace offering during the Civil War. He emphasizes the significance of external threats, such as the Spanish-American War, in bringing Americans together and shaping the country's identity as an empire. Roosevelt and Holliday explore the role of philosophy in everyday life, discussing how the study of philosophy has evolved over time. They note that professional academic philosophy has become more insular and theoretical, focusing on narrow and inaccessible topics. They also discuss the practical aspects of philosophy and how it can help people derive knowledge and values to navigate life's challenges. The conversation delves into the decline of mass cultural events and the impact of this trend on society. They note that there are fewer shared cultural reference points in today's society, making it difficult for people to connect and find common ground. They discuss the importance of having shared cultural experiences and reference points, such as literature, music, and art, to create a sense of community and belonging. They also explore the idea that people used to learn Greek and Latin, which allowed them to read the works of philosophers and other influential figures. This exposure to classical works provided a common cultural foundation that is lacking in today's society. Roosevelt and Holliday discuss the changing meaning of symbols, particularly the American flag. They note that the American flag has become a divisive symbol, with some people using it to express aggressive and exclusionary views. They also touch on the significance of symbols in shaping people's identities and the need for inclusive symbols that bring people together. The conversation delves into the importance of storytelling in shaping our understanding of the world. Roosevelt and Holliday discuss how stories can inspire and teach virtue, providing examples of historical figures and events that have shaped our collective identity. They note that stories can help people aspire to be better and provide a sense of purpose and belonging. They also explore the idea that history is still being written and that people who have lived through significant events are still shaping the narrative. They discuss the dynamic nature of history and the need to hold contradictory ideas in our minds to understand the complexities of the past.